Welcome to Fireside Live. My name is Keith Wyatt, and I'm the proprietor of the School of Electric Blues Guitar at ArtistWorks. And that little number right there is what I call messing around down in the alley with Lonnie Johnson. Now, if the name Lonnie Johnson doesn't ring a bell, well, let me ring it for you. Lonnie Johnson was one of the greatest, most influential guitar players in the history of blues and jazz. There you go. Now, Lonnie was born around the turn of the 20th century in New Orleans, came up in a musical family. That's when blues and jazz were kind of coming together and becoming a thing, you know, like you could really identify that sound. And during World War I, Lonnie went overseas with an orchestra to entertain the American troops, came back home and found that his entire family, he had a big family, had all died except for one brother from the Spanish flu. So take that as you will. But anyway, Lonnie persevered, and as the 1920s unfolded, he established a recording career as one of the most prolific and versatile guitarists of his generation. He could play anything with anybody. Played with Louis Armstrong, played with Duke Ellington, played with all the great female singers, and they were all female at the beginning. Could play solo, could play duets, could play in an orchestra, slow, fast, medium, you name it. Lonnie could do it. Phenomenal stuff. So, what Lonnie did was he kind of established the melodic style of blues guitar playing, the what I would think of as the urban style, you know, the sophisticated uptown style of blues. Now, his contemporary was a guy from Texas named Blind Lemon Jefferson. Blind Lemon was a huge influence in his own right, and when they asked all the, you know, the great guitar players of the 40s, 50s, 60s, who were your biggest influences, they always mentioned Blind Lemon and Lonnie. Now, Blind Lemon was in another whole style and class by himself. That's for another day. But Lonnie Johnson was doing on the acoustic in 1925, 26, 27, what guitar players on the electric figured out a couple of decades later. It's phenomenal stuff, you know, right off the bat. You know, you just listen to the way he bends a note. Now, this is all, mind you, done on the acoustic guitar with heavy strings. The most he could bend is a half step, but he made the most out of that half step, I'm telling you. So you got that... right? That says it all right there. He's got the melody, the harmony, the rhythm all going at the same time and on a sophisticated level. Now, when you listen to, you know, the guitar players, the electric guitar players, starting in the 40s and especially into the 50s, B.B. King, you hear... hear that same kind of phrasing, and sure enough, B.B. cited Lonnie Johnson as one of his own personal biggest influences right from the beginning. So no coincidence there. Also, those you know, the way that he used those harmonies to play little melodic lines, he was always thinking melody. and melody tied together with the rhythm and with the harmony. And guess who picked up on that? Chuck Berry, right? You wouldn't think of that, but Chuck Berry cited Lonnie Johnson as one of his big influences. When you listen to Chuck Berry, sure enough, he's doing a lot of that kind of stuff. So a really far-reaching influence across the board in blues and in jazz. Now, the way that they played the shuffle back in those days is a little different than what we hear. You know, we listen to it now, and it sounds kind of, it's like a two-beat, you know, very much on the beat. That's how they kind of play it. Right? So the style of shuffle that we're familiar with today when we think of blues guitar was really evolved later on, not much later, but in the 1930s by another young man by the name of Robert Johnson. No relation. And Robert listened to the left hand of the piano and said, I can do that, right? And so you got... Robert doing that stuff with his thumb pick and fingers all by himself. Again, sounded like two guitars, like Lonnie, you know, covering a lot of space there. But he laid down that rhythm. Now, during his lifetime, he wasn't that well known. He didn't sell very many records, but he influenced everybody around him, which was a lot of people in the Delta. That was a real, like, center of musical development in the 30s. So, you know, Muddy Waters would study his Robert Johnson records. Elmore James, and then Jimmy Reed. Now, Jimmy Reed took that Robert Johnson shuffle, easy for me to say, and electrified it and stacked a couple of different guitar parts on top. So you had that plus that plus... all played by different guitar players, but when you put it all together, right? That's sort of a Jimmy Reed-ish sound there. Now with the electric guitar, everything got bigger, you know. Lonnie Johnson was playing a lot by himself. The way they recorded things, you know, it sounded different. Guitar couldn't really stand out unless you got real close to the mic and did solo stuff. So a whole different vibe when you had the drums and the whole band. Everybody was electrified. And then, you know, you take that Jimmy Reed shuffle and fast forward a couple of decades, and what do you get? Very familiar sound to everybody, I'm sure. Stevie Ray Vaughan taking that Jimmy Reed thing and saying, well, you got two or three guitar players, I'll do it all by myself, you know. And he did a phenomenal, incredible job of wrapping his arms around all that stuff. Now, did Stevie listen to Lonnie Johnson? Probably, because he was encyclopedic in his study of blues. But where Lonnie shows up, to me, this is my analysis, is that Robert Johnson kind of established the bottom end, that boogie shuffle and everything that built up off of that. Lonnie Johnson took care of the top end, the melody, how to play melodies in tempo with the harmony, you know. So sure enough, you listen to, you know... To that effect, but you can hear, there's your 5 chord. Oh, there's Lonnie, right? There's Lonnie, you know what I mean? So playing around those changes using a modern sound, modern being a relative term, of course, but playing those single notes up high, digging in, the electric guitar screaming, you know. You still hear the roots of Lonnie Johnson. So Lonnie and Robert together, put them together, you got kind of the whole package right there. Now I echoed a little bit of each one of those stylistic things in there, and then come back to the end. My favorite, you know. Right, again, a quote from Way Down on the Alley Blues. Yeah. That's actually a quote from another thing that he did called Blues in G, even though it was in B flat. It's a mystery. But anyway, it's vocabulary, it's roots of blues, and you want to learn how to play melodies in blues, how to play solos that work, you know, not just licks, scales. So Lonnie Johnson, and boom, there it is. Amazing, amazing stuff. So that's my little take on Lonnie, our virtual live session here. We've all gotten used to that over the last year or two. Virtual live, what does that mean? You know, well, I don't know, but if you got a problem with anything I played or said, take it up with Alexa. Anyway, I cover all this stuff in my program on ArtistWorks, electric blues guitar. So if you're interested in learning more about this stuff, come and check it out. Meanwhile, taking on out of here, and I'd like to thank True Fire Studios and ArtistWorks for giving me a chance to meet up with you guys virtually today and play on.